Hello, my name is Francis Natowski. I'm more commonly called Frank. Now, I'm not affiliated with any Bible studies or any religious groups, but I want to ask you a question. What would you think if someone were to tell you that the books of biblical scripture are actually literal? Yes. This is not about me going about preaching, but to engage Christian and unchristian alike to a stimulating debate. Are you ready for that? If you're one of those that label the Bible fictional, may just want to reconsider after several of my exposés. And no, I'm not a charlatan because I've spent a multitude of decades of my 80 years with my face planted in biblical studies. So before you close this chapter, know that I have found no divisions between the spiritual and science. In the words of Scripture, it's been said, what has been hidden for some time actually has been in plain sight all along. The problem arises when others attempt to interpret the real music of Scripture, only to have us become lost to their drumbeat. We must remember Scripture is an autobiography of a Hebrew nation building with much respect given to the Old Testament. We find this in Exodus, in chapter 19, verse 6. And you shall be to me a priestly kingdom and a holy nation. Now, that says something. Fact is, it took decades for me just to report these engaging narratives and get it right. Taking into consideration the gigantic size of the Bible, is it any wonder why so much misinterpretation can creep into what we know as our God of creation? Now, in truth, it would be far easier for me to let that information I found lay dormant, because I lack the oratory skills to speak fluently, which you probably are finding out quickly. But what type of a person would I be if I were to let another touch a live down power line, knowingly, as an example? To stand and do nothing, then I am nothing. That brings me to the point, what are we really here for if not to search for the truth? Our religious communities often refuse to challenge the status quo, and that has to lead to the divisiveness between the spiritual and realities of our world. Are we really here by natural selection, only to die and be erased from the annals of history? I don't think so. We've just begun to tap into the true nature of our DNA and RNA, with the brain remaining an enigma. We can map certain portions of normal brain function, but yet no one really knows what the brain is really capable of when it overcomes an abnormality. For the fortunate few who were able to watch one or two savants perform on a short film in one of the TV documentary channels, had to be impressed. For those not familiar with a savant, it's a person born without the ability to service their rudimentary needs, such as brush their teeth, tie their shoes, etc. This particular fellow caught my attention, being able to hear a piano concerto and play it back near flawlessly on the first try. Can you imagine that? Of course they are considered geniuses in their own right. Imagine a room with thousands of doors and the savant just opened a few to near perfection. What about the many extremely gifted maestros, or the many young prodigies we've all heard or seen so often? We will come away with a greater respect of what we really are capable of. This is not meant to give just credibility to a brain, but what may be just one aspect of what it means to be created in an image of perfection. Not surprising then to learn of a God who must be flawless and filled with love, not retribution for our callous ways.